Welcome to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. 40 minutes away from finding out who's headed to Columbus and the Final Four. #1 overall seed Connecticut taking on the defending champion, second-seeded South Carolina. We'll take you to Spokane after to determine the final spot in the Final Four when Notre Dame and Oregon meet. Here we go. Adam Amin, Carol Lawson, Rebecca Lobo, Holly Rowe is with us. Let's start with an easy matchup. The two first-team AP All-Americans that are on the floor tonight, Katie Lou Samuelson for UConn and Asia Wilson for South Carolina.
There is no player that has meant more to her program and her state in the last 4 seasons than Asia Wilson has meant to South Carolina. She's the National Player of the Year, and she has a resume littered with accolades. She has to be a dominant force in the paint tonight for Dawn Staley. The only way that leads to a South Carolina win is for Asia Wilson to play an incredible game. She's going to have to be on it.
And from the 3-time first-team All-American to the 2-time first-team All-American in Katie Lou Samuelson, we know she's a premier shooter. Second in the nation in 3-point field goal percentage. But she's also the player that Coach Auriemma told us he feels like he can most depend on in big moments. She's the team's top scorer at 17.5 points a game. But if anything, he wants her to hunt more shots. This is the player, her last 3 years, he said, great players hunt shots. She needs to have a big game offensively for Connecticut to pull this one out.
These two teams met in Columbia in February. Gabby Williams defended Asia Wilson very well. That's the matchup to watch tonight, Holly Rowe.
Well, that's right. Gabby Williams is 5'11". She will be asked to guard Asia Wilson, who is 6'5", a 6-inch difference and about 15 to 20-pound difference in size. That is a tall task. I once asked Gabby who's the hardest player she's ever defended, and she said Asia Wilson. But she has great elevation. Her long jump ability, her ability to get up and contest shots and get to the rim helps Gabby Williams. But she said her quickness is actually an advantage that she has over Asia. So guys, I know that there are 8 other players out on the court, but I will not be tearing my eyes away from this matchup. I suggest you do the same.
We'll try to be a little bit more efficient tonight. Typically when Asia Wilson has a good game, South Carolina wins, and that's often been the case the last 2 postseasons. First time they're meeting in the NCAA tournament, a 25-point win in Columbia for UConn back in February. Williams, Wilson, tip. Here we go. Take a look at our Capital One starting lineups. Essentially a 6-player rotation for Connecticut with these 5 and Azurá Stevens. Wilson commits an early foul on Napheesa Collier.
Oh, you love the instincts here by Asia Wilson. Sees that her teammate Bianca Jackson is beat, but absolutely tags Napheesa Collier on the arm. Not what you want if you're Dawn Staley 19 seconds into the game.
And immediately for a post player, that's going to impact the way you play on both ends of the floor. How hard you think about posting up now when you go down on the offensive end, because the one thing you absolutely cannot get is a second one in the next couple of minutes.
Asia Wilson is the only senior on this roster that has played extendedly this year. Traveling violation on Danye Kleine. Good defense by Katie Lou Samuelson. A rare meeting of the last 2 national champions in college basketball. It's only the 4th time it's ever happened. The previous 3 times, the winner went on to win the national championship. Gabby Williams on the board for UConn.
That's a shot that was there early in the season when these teams met. Gabby Williams at the free throw line area.
Samuelson will pick up a foul. The first fouls belong to the AP All-Americans on the first team. It's the right call. Foot in the restricted area and moving. 20 points, 9 rebounds for the transfer from Kentucky, Alexis Jennings, on Saturday in the Sweet 16 against Buffalo. Her best game of the tournament.
She was physical, and one thing that Dawn Staley talked about with Alexis Jennings is she felt like the first half of the season she was just watching Asia Wilson play. Now she's figured out how to play with her, how to help exploit the openings that Asia opens up.
That was a deep three by Samuelson. If you watch SportsCenter, you heard Holly Rowe talk about it. Way too many turnovers for South Carolina in the first 3 games of this NCAA tournament run. You're going to have to handle the basketball against this UConn defense. Wilson's on the board.
That last possession defensively for UConn, we're so used to watching them switch on pick and rolls. They're not going to do that today because they're afraid of offensive rebounds. They didn't switch, but South Carolina still able to get the O board.
Williams gets the roll. It's Ty Harris, the sophomore point guard, at the controls. She struggled against UConn holding on to the ball, has had some issues in the tournament. It's Collier on Wilson on the switch. Last touch by the Gamecocks.
So you see UConn being selective with their pressure, and the player that's guarding Danye Clowney at that point for most of the possession was Katie Lou Samuelson, all the way in the paint. And Danye Clowney is wide open on the weak side. That scouting report, they want to force her to be somebody that has to make shots and have that extra defender in the paint for the South Carolina bigs.
Another deep one from Samuelson. First miss for UConn.
You see it right now, Kara, what you were talking about. Katie Lou Samuelson almost in the paint. Coach Orano repeatedly this morning at shoot-around, don't chase anybody away from the basket.
Wilson draws the contact and will go to the free throw line.
When you have great players, it's about simplicity in terms of your action. This is just high pick, and Asia Wilson rises and beats Nafisa Collier off the dribble. If you are late against Asia Wilson, it is a bucket every single time.
Wilson, an excellent free throw shooter as well. They'll leave Dangerfield open. Kleine looking for Jennings. Not on the same page there. Already 3 turnovers by South Carolina. And that was an issue in the first meeting. Too many transition opportunities for the Huskies in Columbia.
Well, that's a point of emphasis for Dawn Staley in this one tonight, is not give UConn as many transition opportunities. Excellent one-on-one defense there by Alexis Jennings.
Patience, taking time off the clock. South Carolina, we've seen quite a few teams use this method when going against Connecticut, limiting possessions.
Another turnover.
Yeah, I don't know why they're trying to do that on the strong side. High-low action might be a better angle there, or even a reversal, but they've had two very poor angled attempts at post entry.
Dangerfield on the dribble. Last touch by South Carolina.
At certain points tonight, South Carolina's best offense is going to be putting a shot up on the basket and hoping that Asia Wilson and Alexis Jennings can get the offensive rebound.
Which is why that was the biggest focus for Connecticut defensively this morning.
Kia Nurse. Top 10 in the country in three-point shooting. All 5 UConn starters have scored.
Same action, just high pick, roll and replace here.
Eight possessions, 5 giveaways by the Gamecocks. Nurse at the other end missed the layup though.
She did the same thing in the early game this season. Missed a bunny, yeah.
Look at this, though, the amount of time every possession before the ball even gets past the timeline.
Kleine hit the deck. Nurse gave it away. Harris to Wilson. A sequence that the Gamecocks needed there.
You almost feel like every time South Carolina gets a turnover, they need to capitalize.
Yeah.
They need to score. They need to take advantage of it.
Williams will take the shot. Offensive rebound for Collier.
That was a battle down there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of contact between those two players before Collier came up with the ball.
UConn was out-rebounded 3 times all year. South Carolina was out-rebounded 7 times all year. That's it. Nice take by Jennings, but could not get it to go. A foul on the freshman, Bianca Jackson. Early 9-point lead for UConn.
Well, there must be something in the water in the Philadelphia area. Gino Auriemma grew up in a suburb about 12 miles away from Philly. So did Dawn Staley. They both got their start at Virginia. Olympic legacies from both of them, gold medal winners. Both are in the Hall of Fame. They've both been inducted and national champions, including last year for Dawn Staley. But maybe the most important thing, they're both Philadelphia Eagles fans, so I think it's very safe to say these two are winners. They have that fight, that scrappy attitude, and that fighting spirit of people who come out of Philadelphia, and I love it. So much in common from these two legends in coaching.
If you were curious, that was Dawn Staley celebrating the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl championship earlier this year. Not a smile, though, early, as her team is down 11.
Well, they've had 11 possessions in this game so far, Adam. 6 of them resulting in turnovers. That's over half. Have to clean that up.
Danya Kleine already with 3 turnovers, had 1 in her first 100 minutes played in the tournament.
Here's Wilson. Samuelson with a little bit of a double that time.
Yeah, and it was perfectly timed right on the turn.
Good denial, but a foul on Makia Herbert Harrigan. We got to show you the end of that video of Dawn Staley celebrating.
Locked out there.
We've all been there, Dawn. We have all been there, I promise you. locked out of the hotel room. Samuelson with a chance at a 4-point play.
Mistakes. And that's what we've seen from South Carolina. Herbert Harrigan comes in the game and picks up 2 quick fouls. You do not foul a jump shooter, and certainly not one that's second in the country in 3-point field goal percentage.
Lobo, not a lot of space there necessary. That's what's scary about Samuelson. As soon as you give her an inch of space, it feels like she's willing to take it.
I think Kara's phrase the first time these teams played this year was airspace.
Yeah.
You cannot give her any airspace. And South Carolina now going with their bigger lineup. This could be a lineup that could be better on the offensive glass. Kara, if they can get a shot up.
Yep.
Harris gets one up. The big lineup for the Gamecocks had very good stretches against Buffalo the other day, and has had very good stretches even going back to the SEC tournament.
Well, Grissett is a little bit of a wild card for South Carolina because of her athletic ability. She went hard at the offensive glass 2 possessions ago and nearly got the offensive rebound. They still have the same spacing problems. They do not have necessarily a knockdown 3-point shooter in the game right now.
South Carolina only makes about 4.5 threes per game.
I mean, look at the UConn players. Everyone's 1 foot from the paint except the player guarding the ball.
Jennings, nice finish.
But see, I just think the entry needs to come from high-low. When you do it from the side, whether it's strong side or on reversal, the defense is loaded up. The more times they can get that pass straight down the lane, the better off they're going to be.
Offense is always most dangerous in the middle of the floor.
Samuelson got tripped up. Well, the men's Final Four begins Saturday on TBS at 6 o'clock Eastern Time with number 3 Michigan battling 11-seeded Loyola, the Ramblers, and I'm sure Sister Jean will be ready to go with a spot in the national title game on the line. For more info, you can go to ncaa.com. Jennings picked up her first foul. Samuelson already with 9. Harris just looking for a spot to shoot from.
And that's something that can be there because Connecticut not switching on those big little screens. Keener's going underneath. So if you can get this screen and then a rescreen with another player, that shot's going to be there for Ty Harris, but she simply has to hit it.
Yeah, it was a good look. I thought she rushed it a little bit, but it was a solid look.
Collier in the middle of the floor. It
almost looks like a triangle
zone,
too,
yeah.
the way the bigs are just kind of zoning up the middle on their players.
So you got Williams on Wilson, and Samuelson is just picking up whoever comes in her space. Jennings draws the contact and finishes.
This is just an excellent one-on-one play. When you see Gabby gets some contact there, she flies by. When you look at this game plan and you look at the fact that South Carolina is a team that doesn't get a lot of their offense from beyond the arc, you can't trade 2s for 3s, and you've got to be able to get stops. I mean, at this pace, UConn's on pace for 108 points. That's not something South Carolina can score in a game.
Dangerfield knocks it down at the end of the quarter.
Well, we talked about it. You cannot trade 2s for 3s if you're South Carolina. Big time shot for Crystal Dangerfield. UConn 5 for 6 from beyond the arc.
And an 18-point deficit for the defending national champions and their head coach, Dawn Staley. She'll be with Holly Rowe on the other side.
Welcome back to Albany, here with South Carolina coach Dawn Staley. And coach, we talked about the importance of too many turnovers, 6 in that first quarter. What are you saying to your guards about the angles on their post-entry passes and how to be a little bit better there?
Yeah, we're a little bit too high. I think we got the look, but we just can't deliver it. I think it's a skill set thing, but obviously you got to take care of the ball against a team like UConn.
The three-point perimeter defense, they're getting too many of those right now. What do you change?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can shoot it from outside. They can take it off the dribble. We got ourselves in a little foul trouble. You know, we got to settle down a little bit. Hopefully just try to get it on the run and get back in this game.
Thank you, coach.
A lot of championships right here. Brianna Stewart, Kalena Green, and remember that Tina Charles had the big game in the national championship against Louisville in the most lopsided national championship win in women's basketball history. Was it a 33-point win over Louisville? That was the big Tina Charles game. They're all in the house tonight watching their UConn Huskies take an 18-point lead through one.
Listening to Dawn Staley in her interview, that's the quandary, right? When you're going against Connecticut, is they've got such terrific balance on the offensive end, and she says she wants to get some things quickly, but she means off of steals and running on rebounds, because still in the half court, they don't want to shoot too quickly. I don't care. I don't know how long you can play a type of possession or play this way with this kind of a deficit.
Well, I think you hope to get it under double digits at half and play this way in the second quarter and see. But you're right, they will have to quicken the pace if they stay down by this margin.
The left-handed Wilson could not get the bounce, but got the board. You hear the phrase, putting you in conflict. That seemingly is what UConn does to defenses. They put you in a lot of conflict as to what you need to do assignment-wise.
They do it to offenses too. You're in conflict the whole game.
Sure.
I mean, it's very difficult against this team. They execute game plans very well.
Bianca Jackson, who had a career-high 20 against UConn in the first meeting this year, knocks it down.
Well, she's going to have to be more assertive on the offensive end like that, because they need points to come from someone other than Jennings and Wilson.
And she knocked down some threes in that game as well. That would be helpful for the Gamecocks.
Yep.
Samuelson to an open Williams.
That's some high-low action.
You see the difference in the defensive paint, though, when you have shooters that surround the high-low action versus when you don't. I mean, look at the paint when UConn's on defense, and look at the paint when South Carolina is.
And it's so rare we see Connecticut able to play defense this way. Terrific charge by Katie Lou Samuelson. But usually they're an overplay, deny. You don't see this kind of sagging man-to-man. You see it sometimes when they're playing zone, but not so much man-to-man.
Samuelson this time got the charge after she picked up a foul in the first.
Well, Rebecca, we had this fascinating conversation with Gino Oriana about deciding to play a defense like that. He said, you know, it's impossible to play a player like Asia Wilson one-on-one, but he got burned by doubling Sylvia Fowles years ago in a game that they lost in the regionals, and that lesson has lived with him and hurt him. And so he said, you know, sometimes we need to double her. He's like, I go back and forth with myself on, should we only play her one-on-one, or should we double her and let other people shoot with 5 minutes left in the game and put all the pressure on the shooters then? So it's a real, should we, could we, what should we do with this defense?
Yeah, Holly, it's a philosophical dilemma, I think, for any coach when you're going against a great player. Do you overload the coverage on the great player, or do you play it straight up and try not to let the other complementary pieces score?
Jackson's open, gives it up for Jennings for the two. That game that Holly was referencing against Sylvia Fowles, that was the last time that UConn lost an Elite Eight game. It was the last year that UConn did not make the Final Four. 2007, when LSU blew out UConn in the Elite Eight. A foul is called. They'll go against Connecticut. Well, the field has been set for the Frozen Four, starting up Thursday, April the 5th for the national semifinals when the puck drops in St. Paul at 6 Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Visit NCAA.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. Collier with her second foul, so Azurá Stevens has checked in. Jump stop by Wilson. I mean, it's been big or bust for the Gamecocks so far. Dangerfield's wide open in transition.
Crystal Dangerfield is playing extremely well on the offensive end. She's had some struggles at times in the NCAA tournament, just getting her shot to fall.
This is already a tournament high in points for her. Ty Harris. It's that same look on the other side of the floor this time. Good play by Jackson. Brissett denied, but a foul on Dangerfield.
Much better energy, it seems, for South Carolina the last few times down the floor defensively, and then here getting the steal, getting to the free throw line.
It took a little bit to get going in the first meeting in Columbia as well. The second half was very good for South Carolina, but they got off to a rocky start in the first meeting, and a little bit of the same today.
Well, that first half down in Columbia was one of the best halves for UConn all season long.
Sure.
I mean, some of the things that they were able to execute in that first half on the offensive end, really impressive combination plays.
Dangerfield again. She had scored 15 in the first 3 games of the tournament combined. A foul on Stevens.
Well, you talked about Crystal had struggled in the first couple of rounds of the NCAA tournament. Keep in mind, you see the big white sleeve on her left leg. She has been battling shin splints all year. It has really limited the practice time. She is rarely practicing for the last month. And so that just has affected her flow and how she gets in a game. Rebecca, you asked Gino, like, who was he going to talk to before this game and really kind of try to push the buttons of, and she was someone he mentioned. What do you think he had to say to her?
Well, he was concerned because Crystal Dangerfield hasn't really been in this position before. She only played 13 minutes last year in their Elite 8 win over Oregon. Azurá Stevens is another one because she's never been in a Elite 8 game before. So he said those were the two he was probably going to talk to before tonight's game.
Dangerfield was calling for the ball there. Nurse for 3.
The three-point attack is the difference in the game.
Yep.
I mean, 7 for 8 from beyond the arc for UConn. Incredible.
It's 21 points right there in a 19-point game. Jennings one-on-one, able to beat Stevens. Wilson and Jennings have 21 of the 25 for the Gamecocks. Williams. Harris got shut off. Williams with the knockaway. Samuelson the save. And Williams finishes cleanly. Jackson gets the roll.
She's one player who I think can really do some things for South Carolina. She did in their first meeting. She played very well, but she can take you off the dribble if she can just get the basketball. Connecticut's done a great job denying her from the catch.
Williams. Good defense by Wilson. Jennings and Stevens, a pair of transfers, got into it.
Gabby Williams has outstanding athleticism. She's the best defensive player in the country, getting the steal out on the break and finishing with a nice layup. UConn on their way to a huge lead.
Maria, thanks so much. 8 turnovers to Nell's point for South Carolina. A consistent issue so far in the tournament run for the Gamecocks. Bianca Jackson got a good look. Oh, look at the hard work on both sides for that offensive rebound. And Brissett finishes. Really good effort on both ends.
It's going to be a chip away for South Carolina if they're going to come back into this.
What'd you say? Try to get it maybe into single digits before halftime?
Yeah. That's the hope.
Stevens, a little up and under. That's her favorite move down low. The winner of this one will get the winner of Notre Dame and Oregon, which we'll have for you from Spokane with Dave Pasch, LaChina Robinson, and Molly McGrath. In and out. That was the first three-point attempt of the game for the Gamecocks. They only take about 13 on average. Dangerfield, still perfect from the outside.
When Crystal Dangerfield is able to hit like she is tonight, what's UConn's weakness offensively?
Everybody has scored. 3 different players have combined for all 8 3-pointers, and between them, they've missed 1. Good pass by Brissett. She's able to find Jennings.
But you're trading 2 for 3.
Exactly.
I mean, it's another example, and that's not going to get you back in this ballgame. South Carolina has to find a way to get some stops.
Dangerfield again. 5 for 5 from a sophomore.
Connecticut in a zone, and South Carolina still able to get the ball inside, still able to get to the offensive glass. But Kara, they're still doing what?
2 for 3s.
Yep. Asia Wilson's got 14. This is a team that puts you into conflict regardless of what you try to do.
Well, this is a great look at what UConn is trying to do. You see all those players, at least 4 with 1 foot in the paint. And the other side is South Carolina defensively. Look how spread out they are because of the skill sets offensively and because of how UConn is shooting from beyond the arc, 9 for 10.
Scoring by location. That's what Dawn Staley has talked about with this UConn team facing them. They can score from everywhere, and that's been the case already in this game. About a 4-second difference, shot clock and game clock. UConn might try to whittle this down as far as possible. Dangerfield to Stevens. Brenda Pantoa, officials timeout. They're going to check to see if it beat the buzzer. That's out of the hands before the shot clock went down to 0.
What a game by Crystal Dangerfield so far. As impressive as she has been outside the 3-point line, that time just toying with the defense, and then the drive and dish perfectly timed.
What a talk by Gino Auriemma this afternoon.
to both of those players involved in the last play. What about the talk he's giving him now?
Count the basket. Crystal Dangerfield, the first ever recruit from the state of Tennessee to sign with Gino Auriemma, having arguably the best game of her 2 years at UConn in one of the biggest spots. Harris. The largest UConn lead of this game is sitting at 21 points. Let's go over to Holly Rowe with Gabby Williams.
Well, Gabby, you have the difficult assignment of guarding Asia Wilson. She's got 14 points in the first half. What have you done well? What has to get better?
Yeah, it hasn't been that great of a job this first half. We're letting her get too deep. All the big guys, we're kind of letting them get into the positions that they like to get to, so we just got to be more physical and keep them out of the lane.
What has gotten into your point guard? In her first Elite Eight appearance, she has put the danger in Dangerfield.
I don't know. I mean, she's just, this is the Crystal we know and love. So she's just in her bag right now and just letting the game come to her.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly.
Dangerfield had 19 points, 5 for 5 from downtown, 4 assists, no turnovers. Big half. Great crew in the studio. Maria, Nell, and Andy. Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. UConn with a 21-point advantage at the halftime break on South Carolina, with the winner heading to Columbus and the Final Four. Adam Amin, Carol Lawson, Rebecca Lobo. We're taking a look at the Google Cloud highlights. Big highlight was Crystal Dangerfield in the first.
5 for 5 from beyond the arc. The point guard, 19 points. Exactly the offensive jolt that UConn needed from their sophomore point guard, Rebecca.
Crystal Dangerfield had not scored in double figures since the American Conference tournament. On fire here. She was responsible in that first half for 54% of Connecticut's points when you look at her scoring and her assists.
19 points, 4 assists, 0 turnovers. UConn out to a big lead. Holly Rowe moments ago was with Asia Wilson of South Carolina.
Well, Asia, what is the most important thing your team has to change to get back in the second half?
We definitely have to defend the three-point line. They're shooting the world out the ball right now. I think they're probably 90% from the three-point line. So we really have to defend the line. I think we're trying to help each other out down in the paint, but we tend to forget about the arc. So we really have to just defend the three-point line.
For you as a senior, an All-American, what do you have to do and take upon yourself to get your team back in here, but not do too much?
I don't know. I just got to continue to lead. I think they really feed off of me, and I'm kind of letting the game come to me. But right now, I'm not saying I'm going to force anything, but I really have to get this team going, just from an emotional standpoint.
Thank you, Asia.
Thank you.
Here she is in the double, blocked by Collier. Last touch by Bianca Jackson.
UConn doing exactly what they should. That's force Asia Wilson right and into multiple defenders. Excellent possession.
Asia Wilson, a left-handed player who can finish at the rim with either hand, but dominant with the left. That's the first miss from 3 for Dangerfield.
Gino Auriemma is giving Crystal Dangerfield the slow down, just run the offense a little bit as you see the nice layup from Kleine. Shoot, if I'm 5 for 5 coming out of half, I'm jacking that thing up 2 in the first minute.
Dangerfield with her first turnover of the game.
Great start so far, defensively and offensively for South Carolina in this third quarter.
They had a very solid second half in the first meeting. Wilson with a deep catch.
Deep catch, she had 3 players around her, and still patience but quickness at the same time to turn and score.
She and Jennings carried a major load in that first half for the Gamecocks. That's a beautiful lead to Nafisa Collier to get her into her zone right there. Into double figures goes Collier. Wilson had to go right that time. Williams inside. She's got 10. Jennings underneath, running right into Williams. Harris will take a three. She's the only player to take a three-pointer for South Carolina in this game. Williams too strong. Collier's there. Wilson got her on miss. Again, good second effort. Tuesday on ESPN, the 81st National Invitational Tournament from Madison Square Garden with the semifinals. Western Kentucky takes on Utah at 7 Eastern, then Mississippi State and Penn State. Both games available on the ESPN app. The championship game Thursday night. A foul called against Danye Kleine of South Carolina.
Kara, you talked about it in the first half, the importance of the high-low pass. Coach Landers was talking about it at halftime. Just a great job by Nafisa Collier to move the defender across the lane so that they could get the look inside.
And no surprises that it's Gabby Williams that delivers the pass, leads this team in assists from the center position.
Good look for Kleine. Williams on the push. Nurse too strong. Wave out the basket attempt. Dangerfield foul. Lily Grissett will check in for South Carolina, taking Kleine out. Grissett into Samuelson. The second charge she's drawn. That's 3 on Grissett.
Katie Lou, more often than not, has been the defender sitting in the paint because she's not guarding her player on the weak side, and that has enabled her, as you said, Adam, to take 2 charges tonight by being in the right place.
Williams hits. Back to the largest lead at 23 for UConn. Jennings across the lane. Nice play.
2 powerful post players for South Carolina who can just use their strength to go through you and score at the rim.
Samuelson, her third 3 of this game.
She's always moving, and she understands that if the defender makes a mistake, as Grissett did on that play by going under, she's going to make you pay.
4 Huskies now in double figures. Here's Nurse. .7-point advantage. Collier picks up the foul. UConn rolling.
The NCAA Women's Championship, presented by Capital One, is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Spend your life living.
Well, Asia Wilson grew up in Hopkinsville, South Carolina. She stayed home to make South Carolina great, and much love goes out to her family. Her dad, Roscoe Wilson, her mom, Eva, who are here. You know, Roscoe was instrumental in her basketball development. He signed her up for her very first basketball camp, and she said, I had a bad attitude. I had my arms crossed, eyes rolling. She didn't want to go, but she has turned into a great player. He'd have her in the park wearing a 20-pound weighted vest doing workouts. So they have gone through it together to make her the incredible player she is. I talked to Mom and Dad before the game tonight. Eva said, you know, I feel at peace. Asia has come full circle. She's given everything she could. Roscoe said it has been a wonderful, frustrating, stressful, and incredible journey, inspirational, and they feel very at peace tonight with no matter what happens.
Holly, Roscoe, who was a pro in Europe playing basketball, named Asia after Steely Dan's album, AJA, Asia. He would make Asia put on a 20-pound vest and do Mikan drills with both hands with a 5-pound ball. That helped Asia Wilson develop both sides. She's a lefty, dominant lefty, but she can finish with both hands, and a big reason for that is the development that Roscoe helped her get to. Wilson lost it there. Dangerfield. Unselfish basketball with another Samuelson assist. Been an emotional weekend for Asia Wilson, as you can imagine. She actually wrote a piece for the Players Tribune this week, opening up about her battle with dyslexia, something that she's been battling since she was a very young kid, having trouble processing information as she reads it. Dawn Staley was the one who really helped Asia get along by essentially making her read scripture to her before practices. And Asia was not very responsive to it early, but as she got comfortable with it, she realized that it helped her move along in her development and in her processing of information. She says she has to focus a little bit harder in the huddles to make sure that she gets all of the information necessary, but a very courageous thing to admit that, to write about it freely. And it really seems like she's going to continue to be a role model for a lot of young girls in many ways. Nice take by Samuelson. Now, Dangerfield, by the way, with her third foul on that previous possession. Reset. Gabby Williams with her 6th rebound. She needs one more to hit 1,000 in her career. Williams, what a finish.
Oh, the speed and explosiveness. I mean, it was almost like she wasn't even being defended.
Reset's pass went off the rim. Harris off target.
The defender in front of her in that first step just renders that defender useless. I mean, the athleticism, that's beautiful to watch from Gabby Williams.
Those giant strides as she bounds in through the lane as well.
Samuelson for 3. Megan Walker, who just checked in for Crystal Dangerfield, picks up the rebound. Stevens gets past Wilson and left it short. Wilson had it stripped. Last touch by UConn. Well, tune in on Friday at 6:30 Eastern Time for the NCAA Women's Final Four Special presented by Capital One. And then our crew will be in Columbus for the championship semifinals on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Visit NCAA.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. Gabby Williams trying to secure a spot for UConn on Friday night. They are up by 32.
Congratulations to Jeff Walls of Louisville.
Yep.
And Vic Schaefer of Mississippi State for punching their tickets yesterday.
A third Final Four trip for Jeff Walls in Louisville. It'll be a second for Mississippi State. The defending national runners-up. Tierra McCowan with a 20-20 game in Mississippi State's victory yesterday over Oregon State.
Followed a game where she was 11 for 11 from the floor.
And 24 points against North Carolina State in the Sweet 16.
She is an absolute handful in the post.
Jackson too strong. Stays here with 18 seconds left.
Very well kept eyebrows as well.
Yes. And she wanted to make sure that you knew about it. Boy, what a starting five. They have tight rotation. They've had the same starting lineup every game this year, Mississippi State. And those five with some veterans on that crew, including a couple of All-Americans. That's going to be a force to reckon with against Louisville. Man, that's going to be some fun on Friday. Pliny hits a three. Final seconds. Nurse. 10 minutes away. Asia Wilson battling tonight, but it's all Huskies. Gino's still not happy. We'll talk to him next.
Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. Here with Coach Gino Auriemma. And Coach, this is Crystal Dangerfield.
I want to be the Capital One commercial. I want to do one of those.
All right, let's do one together.
Okay, we'll do one together.
Done.
Crystal Dangerfield's amazing right now. I mean,
she's never been on this stage.
She's run the show. You know, the one thing I said to her before the game, I said, Crystal, just take yourself back to November. This is how she played in November. And then in December, and then she started having some injuries, and she couldn't practice. So she just lost it. She lost her mojo. And she seems to have it back a little bit.
21 points, the mojo is back. What do you have to do to finish this game, Coach?
Well, I mean, obviously, we got to keep pushing the ball, and we got to stay with what we're doing offensively. And down there, I thought we had a good quarter defensively, and it's still going to come down to, can we limit them to one shot and then come down here and get a good shot? Same thing we've been doing the other 30 minutes.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it.
Well, talking about back in November, 24 points in the season opener against Stanford, a career high. Dealt with the shin splints throughout the year, as Holly talked about, had the right ankle issue during the American Conference Tournament, has not practiced as often as a lot of her teammates. But when she's on, this offense is very sharp, and that's been the case tonight.
Well, not practicing can really throw off your rhythm, especially for a young player. Like, if it's a senior that's been through it before, it can be a little bit easier for them, but Crystal Dangerfield is still in her growth phase as a player. And missing those practices, it was very clear the last 6 weeks, the rust that she displayed on the court.
And confidence comes from success in practice.
Yep. Nice pass by Stevens to the freshman, Megan Walker. Harrigan off target. The winner of this game will get the winner of Oregon and Notre Dame from Spokane coming up in just a bit. Walker got fouled.
Well, guys, I checked in with Coach Graves just about 40 minutes ago, and his message back to me was they're worried about transition offense and defense. We want to test their depth by pushing the ball and make some of their bigs have to run. They want to take Enrique out of easy transition baskets. And then second, whichever defense can put together stops for a 4 to 6 minute stretch at a time at some point will take control. So both offensive are potent. Their rebound will be a key. So thanks for Kelly Graves getting right back to me. I love that.
Nice scouting report there from Kelly Graves, and well done, Holly, to get that info.
I am not watching the second game tonight for any defensive purposes. I'm hoping to see as much offense as possible. That's why I'm tuning in to the second one. Two of the best offenses in the country. I want to see triple digits on both sides. Get it done.
We could see it. We could see it with those two teams. Notre Dame battling with all of the injuries. Obviously, it's become a storyline in the tournament, but the 4 ACL injuries, I think we've heard it, they have fewer losses than ACL injuries this year. And Oregon, with all of those freshmen and sophomores who are now all sophomores and juniors after that magical Elite 8 run last season, now getting a chance to head to the Final Four for the first time. And as it stands right now, their likely opponent would be Connecticut, as Herbert Harrigan hits the jumper. Well, after Oregon and Notre Dame tonight, we'll have SportsCenter with my guys Steve Levy and Kenny Mayne. They'll preview the women's Final Four as the matchups will be set. They'll tell you about the men's Final Four, like father, like son. Jalen Brunson and his dad, Rick, a current assistant for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And a two-sport star, Mookie Betts, an outstanding bowler from the state of Tennessee. And an all-star for the Boston Red Sox. It's a fun feature. We'll tell you about that as opening day is just a few nights away in Major League Baseball. Asia Wilson's going to check back in for South Carolina. Collier just took it right in. And 5 for Collier. Wilson with a tough finish. Stevens. Nurse got the offensive rebound, clearing out. Bianca Jackson.
Is that a bit of a push-off?
I thought that might have been a push-off.
To get that offensive rebound, I think it was.
Wilson slicing between the double.
When we were talking to Asia Wilson on Friday about handling double teams, and she said the first thing she does is look at the feet of her defender, see how many feet are around her and how she can get through that to get herself an angle at the basket.
You know, just while we have a moment, I just want to shout out to Asia Wilson because, you know, she's coming off the defending national championship team. She should have had Kayla Davis and Alicia Gray by her side to help her through this season, but they both declared early for the WNBA draft. I can't think of any player in the country that has had more pressure on her shoulders night in and night out this season than Asia Wilson, and has handled it with extreme grace, dignity, and just tremendous resilience. Has been a monster player. 22 points, 12 rebounds. I mean, just cannot say enough about this young lady.
Holly, we asked her about it. What is it like to be the defending champ at this point in the season when you get to the NCAA tournament? Is it as hard as everybody says it is? You hear all the cliches, you have the target on your back, everything like that. And she said it is, because when we lose games, I hear it from the opposing team. Hey, the defending champs just went down. Everybody wants to knock off the defending champs. Herbert Harrigan for 3. Walker with the rebound for Connecticut.
And we've seen a taste tonight of what Asia Wilson has had all season in terms of the number of defenders swarming her, which has happened tonight and happened all season, and she's still able to be productive in an efficient manner.
Jackson with the steal in the finish.
I look at her numbers tonight with all that attention. 10 for 16 from the floor, 24 points. She's been efficient.
Timeout called by UConn. We are on our way to Columbus at the end of the weekend. They're getting ready for us. We'll be ready this weekend in Ohio.
Let's take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. The UConn Huskies and their passing of the basketball. 21 assists on 32 made field goals. It has been beautiful to watch. The spacing, the pace, the quick decisions, and of course their ability to knock down shots, shooting over 60% from the field. It's been all UConn the entire game, and it's the main reason why they're up 26 points.
How about the assist Kara Lawson's giving to you, Adam, reading the promo at a break?
That's the type of point guard we expect to have on this crew. Walker misses offensive board for Collier. There's Wilson with her 8th rebound of the night. Nurse got the steal. Nurse will get the assist to Collier. Wilson with good defense from Collier. It's hard to ask A'ja Wilson to do much more. She has been a heavy lifter tonight. It's been a dynamite career for one of the great players in college basketball these last 4 seasons. The only 3-time SEC Player of the Year, the first 4-time All-American in South Carolina history, the SEC Co-Defensive Player of the Year this year. All of this after she was named the most outstanding player at last year's Final Four, and has had to do it as the lone senior getting major minutes this season. This was the giant that she just could not slay. But this might have been one of her best games against UConn.
I thought she's been pretty much composed throughout the game. Talked about her efficiency scoring the ball.
Samuelson.
You talk about Wilson's composure. You know, she gets surrounded. That's an easy 2 for her, probably the easiest one she's had all night. But as much as she gets surrounded, you don't see her get frustrated with her teammates. And that's something that shows true leadership, especially with some of the younger players. You haven't seen the frustration this year when she's been asked to shoulder so much of the load.
Into the hands of Collier for Williams. A 31-point lead. UConn in control on their way to Columbus. We'll wrap up the career of A'ja Wilson when you come back.
I'll be attending the University of South Carolina. My goal is to win a national championship, and I think that we can accomplish that goal.
Well, she did that and more. You talked about it at the top, Kara. There may not be a player that has meant more to her program, to her state, to her hometown than A'ja Wilson has for the growth of this South Carolina program under Dawn Staley.
Absolutely. I mean, we could run her accolades on the bottom line throughout the entire game. That's how many that she has, Adam. But I'll tell you, my favorite memory of A'ja Wilson's career, this summer I was out at USA Basketball, and there were 40 players trying out for a U23 team. And a player that played for Penn State named Tania Page fell and dislocated and fractured her ankle.
A gruesome injury,
A gruesome injury. Her foot was turned in the wrong direction. And every single player in that gym ran away from Tania Page. This is a collection of all the great players in the country. And there was one player that ran towards Tania Page. And that player was A'ja Wilson. And that story embodies everything that A'ja Wilson has been about. She ran toward things. She was a courageous player in college, and she's phenomenal, and she deserves every bit of this ovation that she's going to get.
What A'ja Wilson doesn't realize now, that no matter what else she does in her career, and she will most likely be an Olympian at some point, she will most likely have opportunities to play for WNBA championships, that 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, she is going to still have people coming up to her, especially in the state of South Carolina, and thanking her for what she's done for the university and the women's basketball team. The first one of the first ones to win a national championship there. Who knows how many more to come in the future. But she is going to be the one who is always tied to South Carolina, no matter what comes down the road for this program.
Certain players are associated with the program for the rest of their lives. I think of Christian Laettner, Duke, will forever be associated with that team. That's going to be how A'ja Wilson is associated with this South Carolina team for everything she did. Both UConn seniors come off the floor. Williams and Nurse. They are on their way to Columbus and the Final Four once again.
Here you see Gino hugging those seniors, and he had the most brilliant thing that he said recently to us. He said, because of who we are and what we've accomplished, every single day you have to fight against complacency. And it takes its toll. And to these seniors' credit, they have lost on the biggest stage last season, cleaned up the little things that created that opportunity, and made things different. And now they're back to the Final Four.
Timeout for Gino Auriemma to take the starters out. Gino Auriemma and the UConn Huskies are going to break a tie with John Wooden's UCLA Bruins for the most consecutive Final Fours at the Division I level. It's going to be 11 straight for Gino. And overall, it will be Gino Auriemma's 19th Final Four, breaking a tie with Pat Summitt for the Division I record. A'ja Williams with a bucket. The shot clock is off.
An incredible performance by the UConn Huskies tonight. The overall #1 seed, undefeated, and they will head into Columbus playing some of their best basketball of the season. Now, that's a scary thought for the other three teams.
They were eliminated a year ago in dramatic fashion. A chance for revenge for Gino Auriemma and the Huskies in 11th consecutive Final Four. Tremendous tremendous respect for A'ja Wilson. The final swan song for A'ja Wilson. The defending champions are done, and number 1 is still alive, on its way to Columbus for the Final Four. Let's go over to Hollywood with Gino Auriemma.
Gino is still directing traffic down here. He's always coaching something. But, Coach, you had said that this year has taken a toll on you, one of the hardest you've ever gone through, and yet they continue the standard. They're going to the Final Four. Why has it been so hard?
I just think it's just harder now to coach. You know, there's so much going on. There's so much that you have to deal with on a daily basis. The expectations on our program are so high. You know, it's trying. It really is, for them, for us, and you have to like be able to deal with that every single day, every day, and for them to do what they did, not just the rest of the year, but I mean today was pretty special. They were pretty special today.
You talked about it, given the way that last year ended and that drama. For them to be able to come back now and have a chance to avenge that loss, what does that mean for you and these seniors? Well,
you know, there was absolutely nothing that I saw in the preseason or whatever that made me think that these guys are on a mission. Like I remember in 2002, those guys, it was every minute of every day, everything. These guys just have a different way. They're like, yeah, whatever, we'll be ready when the game comes. I mean, it's great for them, but it's not great for me. So for them to have a chance to go back and be in the same spot they were in last year, I'm really, really, really happy for them. They deserve this.
And Coach, for you, I know you're not into this stuff, but history for you tonight, the most trips ever to the Final Four for a coach, men or women. How do you keep doing it?
I have no idea. I mean, obviously, you know, you look at the way our guys played today and you see some of the things they do. They continue to amaze me, and I continue to doubt them, and they continue to amaze me. It's like they're doing it in spite of me. But as I said, we have pretty high expectations at Connecticut, and the real season starts next weekend.
We'll see you there. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Holly.
I was so impressed with the play of sophomore point guard Crystal Dangerfield tonight. And if she plays like that, if she shoots the ball like that, UConn is going to be a tough out in Columbus.
We talked about it during the game. When she shoots like that, what's their weakness? There isn't one, certainly, in the starting 5. And this is a UConn team. Whatever challenge this season has been put in front of them, they've risen to the occasion every single time.
Incredible performance tonight by the UConn Huskies, led by their sophomore point guard, Crystal Dangerfield. UConn has filled the 3rd slot. They await the winner of Notre Dame and Oregon coming up from Spokane with a spot in the Final Four on the line. It's the end of a fabulous college career for A'ja Wilson, an end to a fabulous run for South Carolina, and the continuation of a mission for the UConn Huskies. 94-65. They're on their way to a record 11th consecutive Final Four. For Kara, Rebecca, and Holly, Adam saying so long. Maria.